I did a video last year about working with cultural diversity, and this video is very similar. It's going to be focused on working with individuals who have accents. Our personal commitment to being a highly effective and successful communicator should never stop. We have sole responsibility for the words we choose and the approach we take. Join me as we discuss various topics that can help us be outstanding communicators. Okay, more and more of us are starting to work in workplaces where English is the second language for someone that we're working with. And we really need to think through what is the best approach in those scenarios. We can't just avoid the topic. That is not the best approach. And if we are professional and if we are respectful and if we take time to think about the best approach, it's amazing how good a conversation can end up being. But it can't be ignored. So you've got to figure out where are your pain points, and then you need to own what you need to own. Here's my advice on the best and most effective way you can work closely with someone who has an accent that's hard for you to understand. First off, you've always got to think about what are the expectations. The expectations come from your employer. That's who they come from. You have a job to do. You have objectives to be met. Maybe you're on a project and you're the only English as a primary language individual on that project. So you have to take a minute to sort through what are your abilities with communication. How good are you at navigating and sorting through folks who have an accent when they speak English? You're not going to change their speaking of English. You're not going to do that. But you could grow in how you interpret and listen and understand their accent. Are you willing to do that? Is the job, is your career important enough to you that you are willing to grow in understanding someone's accent better? Are you willing to grow in this area in order to see a successful completion of the project at hand? Are you willing to own your gaps in really understanding their speaking of English? Or are you just demanding that they speak it differently? Well, you can't demand that. That's not for you to own. What's for you to own, the only control that you have in the scenario is your approach and your words. And in this particular scenario, your approach is really growing and listening differently. So think that through. You have objectives you need to accomplish for your employer. You're working with people that perhaps it's challenging for you to understand their accent. And oh, by the way, it may be just as challenging for them to understand yours, right? Don't know if that ever crossed your mind or not, but it's a strong possibility. So what are you going to do? Again, first and foremost, think about how you listen and how you start to grow with understanding their English language with the accent that they have. And then the second thing for you to do is to have a conversation with them. Let them know privately and respectfully that, you know what, sometimes it's hard for you to understand their accent, but you want them to understand how deeply respected they are by you by speaking multiple languages. I mean, that right there is respectable. Period. Put a big fat period on the end of that. It's respectable when people speak multiple languages. And make sure that you convey that. And then let them know there might be times that you ask them to repeat themselves. And that's just because you want to make sure that you clearly understand what they are trying to convey to you. And third, let them know that if they ever feel disrespected by you when you ask them to repeat something, that they share that as well, because that is not your intent. So here's what can happen, and it's a little odd and it's a little magical, but it's pretty cool. What can happen is both parties involved in the communication start to understand each other better. Again, it's incredibly professional and it's really respectful if you're conveying what you hope to accomplish. And you convey that, yes, you do really respect the fact that they speak multiple languages. You just want to make sure that for the sake of your employer or the project or the business or whatever that is, that you clearly understand the message and that you are clearly communicating effectively between each other. You can have those conversations. You do not need to be scared of them. As long as respect is the foundation, you can do it. But if you don't do it, and your employer is expecting a successful accomplishment of this particular project or working with this particular team, then you know what? That's not good. You're in charge of your approach and your words. Think through them and then effectively and respectfully have them with the other person. You're going to be shocked at how successful the outcome truly can be. And that other person could feel enormously respected by you just for having that conversation. I know you can do this. You've got it.